so you guys are going to be taking notes on combining like terms on your Algebra 1 diagnostic. This was a concept that you guys had seemed to feel pretty comfortable with. So we're just going to clarify a couple of the rules that are associated with combining like terms, and you guys are going to be filling out these notes as we go through, so feel free to pause, whatever. Okay? All right. So again, it's a way to simplify an expression. So simplify means to condense, make smaller. So you want to go from something that's long and you want to make it short, okay? So what does it mean to combine like terms? Combining like terms, again, in the word, combine, you're going to join together. Term, so the definition of a term is a number, a variable, or a combination of the two. So you might see like a number, a variable, and an exponent even, okay? So you're going to join together terms that share common qualities. Down below you might find it beneficial to write down what a term is again. So I'm going to write this here. Term. So it's a number. You can use the hashtag symbol. A variable. Or a combo of the two. Again, it can have an exponent as well. All right, let's move on now. Let's talk about the general 3 rules that you guys are going to be using to combine these terms together. So the first rule says you can only combine terms that have the same, so this is very crucial, the same variable. So a variable, again, is a letter that we use in math to define an unknown value. And they also have to have the same exponents. If they do not have the same exponent, like 1x is squared, 1x is cubed, they're not the same. You cannot combine them. Okay, so these two things have to be true before you join together those terms. The second rule that you need to remember when combining like terms is to always group the operation signs. The only 2 operations that we use with combining like terms is addition and subtraction. So always group the operation, addition or subtraction sign with the term that is after it. So the term is going to come after it. Alright, and then the last rule down here at the bottom, number 3, says always put the variables of your answer in blank order and then in order by blank. Okay? So what it's talking about here is when you write an answer for an expression that you've simplified or you've combined like terms, okay, you have to put them in a certain order. If you think about the dictionary is in alphabetical order. If you think about a number line, it's in numerical order. So those are 2 things that we're going to be focusing on, okay? So always put the variables of your answer in alphabetical order. So alphabetical order. Then in order by exponents. You will always, always, always go highest to lowest exponent, okay? So I want you to write that in, highest to lowest. If you need to write this down as you're taking notes, now would be a good time to pause the video before I scroll up. I'm just going to turn this on. Okay. All right. So again, one last option to pause, write this down. Next up, we're going to be using those rules to do some examples. So you should be looking now at the bottom of your notes. We have example 1 and example 2. I'm going to show 2 strategies for identifying terms that are alike and being able to put them together. The first one is to use lines or shapes. So again, you want to make sure that you're grouping that addition or subtraction symbol that's in front of the term with it. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting, if it's supposed to be a negative number, you're supposed to be subtracting, you're not going to remember that, okay? So you need to make sure you group them in that way. So if it helps you, I always start from the back. So I'm in example 1 right now. And you see 7 at the end and a plus sign before it. So before that plus sign, you're going to draw a line. And every time you see an operation, you're going to draw a line in front of it. So you should have 5 lines now. And now we're just going to identify which terms are like, and we're going to ask ourselves, what is the variable that's shared, and is there an exponent that's similar? Again, if you don't have those 2 pieces the exact same, you cannot combine them. The 2 numbers in front, the coefficients, those do not need to be the same. They can be different. So at the beginning we have 3x squared. So this one has an x and it has an exponent. It's the only term here with an exponent. So we know that that's going to go first. Okay? The other term is 4x squared. They're both positive. I'm going to circle them both. Again, so I'm going to be using shapes. You can circle them. And I know that 4 plus 3 is going to be 7x squared. So again, highest exponent goes first. X comes before y, which we're going to get to. Now, the other term that I see that also has an x in it is negative 3x. All right? Negative 3x has an x, but it has no exponent. There also is no other term that is similar to it here. So this one does not get changed, but it does need to get written down below in alphabetical order. So after your x squared term, now we're going to write minus 3x. And I'm just going to underline that one because it doesn't have any other like terms. So I'm not going to use a shape on it. All right, so we keep on going, and I see that I have 2y plus 2y. So y comes after x in the alphabet, and this one has 2, so I'm going to put a green box around this. So in total now, 2y plus 2y gives me 4y. Again, you are only adding the coefficients. That's the number in front of the variable. That's the only part you need to think about adding. Now the last part is the 7. So the 7 is what we call a constant. It's a number-only term, all right? Any term that is just numbers is always going to go at the very end. So we should now write plus 7. So our final answer of after combining like terms should be 7x squared minus 3x plus 4y plus 7. You should know that when you come into class tomorrow, in the first homework assignment that you do on this skill, you will be asked to use a strategy. Let's go on to example number 2. So we have this really long line of terms. I'm going to look at those terms. Some have xy, some have x, some have y, and one is just a number. Okay? So again, we need to think about which number comes first, or which letter, comes first in the alphabet. So I look at mine, and I'm going to go with the x's first, because I know that x comes before y. So we have positive 3x and negative 2x. So 3 minus 2 gives me 1. So I'm just going to write x, though, because if you draw an arrow to this and put a little note, I do want you to write this down in your notes. If you're wondering, do I have to write this down? Yes, Ms. Gosse wants you to write it down, okay? So I'm only writing x, and I'm not writing 1x because you guys are now in high school. You guys are getting higher in your level of math, okay? You're turning into sophisticated mathematicians, and sophisticated mathematicians do not write the coefficient of 1. It's pointless. It's time-consuming. We don't need it. We can see that we have 1x just because there's only 1 written here, okay? So you have 1x. All right, so the note that I want you to write is assume the coefficient is 1 when not written. Please take a moment to write that down. Pause if needed. Alright, so we have 1x, so that comes first. Alright, and now look to see if there's any other terms that maybe have x's in them, and I do see that we have 4xy, and I also see a positive 2xy. Notice how not only am I using a different color, but I'm also using a different shape. If you prefer to use highlighters and just highlight them in different colors, you can also do that. Alright, so 4xy plus 2xy gives me a total of 6xy. And since again I'm going to continue in alphabetical order, I've got my x terms all done, I've got my y term kind of being introduced here, so now this is where the y term is going to go. So I'm just going to underline negative 2y and positive 4y, because this is my last batch or grouping of terms. So I have negative 2 plus 4, which gives me positive 2y. And again, the last term, the constant, you would add together any remaining numbers. So 3, the constant, always goes at the end. So this is your final answer, x plus 6xy plus 2y plus 3. So a couple basics to review. Again, you must have same variable, same exponent in order to combine. The coefficient does not have to be the same, and you must show me a strategy. Okay, so it's best to take notes on this now because I'm going to be asking you to do that on homework tomorrow. Okay? Thank you for watching. Come prepare with your notes tomorrow. Goodbye.